Ryan's point of view. Stop, I panted, while the chestnut haired girl in front of me froze on her tracks, raising her brows at me, her enthusiastic smile faltering. I was hunched over, hands on my knees as I caught my breath. Ryan, yeah, G. This campus is huge. You already have guided me through the high school building, which is all I need to know for now. Can we take a break now? I stood up straight, looking at my seatmate who nodded in realization and the smile was back on her face. Yeji. Oh, silly me. Yes, let's take a break. It's lunchtime anyway. Let's go to the cafeteria. It's the best place here. She gestured for me to follow her, and I did. Haneul Academy, one of the most prestigious academies in Seoul. I was enrolled in the junior year of high school due to my father's transfer, and so far I haven't regretted it. Ryan, this could hold a football ground. I muttered at the cafeteria entrance, and Yeji just chuckled beside me. She patted my shoulder, dragging me inside. The academy was divided into the upper campus, which housed the high school, and the lower campus, which housed the lower grades. Talk about being on a movie set. Today was my first day, and our homeroom teacher had assigned Yeji to give me a tour. She showed me different classrooms, labs, halls, and the library, giving brief information, more like juicy gossip, for each of the places. Yeji, the cheese bulldog cups are my favorite, and you have to try the ice cream croffles. No one else makes it like them. Also, she went on with the list of food items as I took in the surroundings. With the hustle and bustle in the cafeteria, the spicy, savory scent of various dishes, the laughter of groups, and the chatter of friends, the area was packed. Yeji walked us to the counter and placed our lunch orders. Van, thanks. You're very sweet, Yeji. I muttered, holding my tray, my eyes averted, and I heard a soft chuckle from her as she took her own tray. I wasn't the one to make friends quickly, but something about Yeji was just warm, comforting. Her energy made you feel at ease naturally. Yeji, oh, do you really think so? My boyfriend would totally agree with you on that, even if I protest otherwise. She nudged my arm, and I blinked at the new information. We walked, glancing around and finding a place to sit. Just then, I saw a guy waving at AJ with a grin. A smile lit on her face, and she waved back, walking in his direction, dragging me along before I even had the chance to say anything. AJ seems like the social butterfly type, and I guess she will be tagging me along with her everywhere. For the first time in years, it doesn't make me feel anxious. A sudden squeal across the cafeteria pulled my attention and I stopped walking, causing Yeji to stop too. She glanced at me in confusion while I was busy looking at the commotion. A few students were gathered in a circle, mostly girls, fangirls to be precise. Was there an idol in the school? I frowned, walking a little closer to take a look, while Yeji leaned in to answer my curiosity without even being asked. Yeji, that is the school's heartthrob, star athlete, the captain of the school's soccer team. The team won a match yesterday, so the crowd is a bit louder today. He is. She continued, but my mind was stuck on one word, tuning out the rest of the information. Athlete, sports, fame. My grip on my tray tightened, and just then I caught a glimpse of the person who was currently the epicenter of everyone's attention. Short, dark hair, dark brown eyes that looked black from where I was standing. People parted a little, and I caught the glimpse of a flirty smirk plastered on his lips as he spoke to the girl standing in front of him. She was looking at him with hard eyes. I turned around, walked toward the table, and took a seat, Yeji following me closely behind. The guy seated at the table stood up to pull a chair for Yeji, who sat down after kissing his cheek, making him grin like a Cheshire cat. I blinked, with my spoon in my mouth, and Yeji laughed at me before introducing her boyfriend. Yeji, Ryan, this is Sojin, my boyfriend. He is in his senior year and is in the school student council and the class president of his class. Babe, this is Ryan. It's our first day. The guy gave me a polite smile and I bowed my head slightly, swallowing my food. Mom would surely scold me about manners if she were here right now. In my defense, I was just too hungry to pay attention to being polite. Ryan, nice to meet you, Sojun Sunbeam. I sat down abruptly. He waved his hand, dismissing it with a smile, easing me a little. He had short curly hair with glasses perched on his nose and a friendly smile. He looked like a nice guy, but you can never tell with the boys. Sojun. It's fine. Just call me Sojun, Ryan. Age's friends are my friends. My girl is a social butterfly, so I'm not surprised. She's the first person you talk to on your first day. He grinned in Yeji's direction, eyes softening just a little. Yeji, why did you walk away abruptly though? I thought you were curious about Jungkook Sangbi. She asked as I took a bite of the bulldog. Damn, these were really good. Why, Jungkook? I asked, confused, the name foreign on my tongue. Half of my attention was on the savory, cheesy treat in front of me. Sojun, John Jungkook, the guy over there basking in the popularity. One of my friends. Smart guy, and even tough in leaks. He answered casually, and realization dawned upon me. I paused, fidgeting with my food, wondering how to answer them. Well, I was curious about the crowd, but I have seen star athletes in my school before, so it was nothing new. I thought there was some celebrity in the school, so I shrugged, my shoulders slumping in relief as they both bought my explanation. The rest of the lunch passed smoothly, and I was more than comfortable with Yeji and Sojin. There was just something about these two that made people at ease. Good. I didn't want any drama in my new school. I'll dispose of this. Yeji gave me a thumbs up and I stood up with my tray. Yeji was right about the ice cream croffles. I had never tasted anything like them before. Wine. Ouch. I hissed as someone bumped into me, stepping on my shoe, making me stumble back. My eyes shut, anticipating the fall, but an arm wrapped around my waist, steadying me. Watch where you are going, sweetheart. My eyes snapped open, locking in with a familiar pair of brown ones. I immediately stepped away, standing straight as I recognized the person. Vine, you bumped into me. You should have looked where you were going. I crossed my arms defensively, glaring at the boy in front of me. John Jungkook, star athlete Yeji mentioned. His eyes flickered with amusement, and with a slow tilt of his lips, he bent his head a little, reaching at my ally. Why am I even talking to him? So much for wanting no drama. Jungkook, come on now. I'm sure you wanted to talk to me and bumped into me. I know I'm charming like that, sweetheart. My jaw dropped at the sheer amount of audacity this guy had. I rolled my eyes, stepping closer to him. Ryan, listen, Mr. Whoever the hell you are, I'm not one of your fangirls. This was a mere accident, and pray you never cross my path again. And don't call me sweetheart. I finished pointing a finger at him, and he just raised his eyebrow with a grin. Was he loose in the head? Not wanting to hear more from him, I turned around and walked out of the cafeteria, feeling the stares pouring into me. I had never been so hostile with anyone I barely knew ever. But this guy just somehow got on my nerves. Wine, shit. This was not the impression you wanted to make in front of the whole school on the first day. Oh my, he is a senior on top of that. I muttered to myself, holding my head. Before I could spiral, I saw Yeji sprinting toward me with concerned edge on her face. Yeji, girl, what was that? You okay? She stopped in front of me, Sojun trailing behind her. I nodded, forcing my face to be neutral. She didn't question me and just led us to our next class. I was thankful for the silence. One. Oh, I hate school. Groaning, I face planted myself on my bed, sighing in the soft plush mattress as my body melted into it. Half of my body was on the bed while my feet tangled on the floor, but I couldn't care less right now. This right here was heaven. I hissed as a sharp smack landed on my bottom. A laugh echoed in the room as I wiggled and lay down properly on the bed, coming face to face with my elder sister, Yunji, standing at the foot of the bed with a smile on her lips. Wine, what the hell do you want from me, Onni? I gave her a blank stare, and she just chuckled, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Oh, Yunji, nothing. It is just fun to annoy you. How was the first day of high school? Did you make any friends?" Her smile softened the frustration inside me, and I sighed, relaxing on the bed as I started to tell her about my day. One, it was going better than I expected until lunch. I did make a friend, if you can call it that. My seatmate, Yeji, is quite a social butterfly. Her boyfriend is a senior, and I had lunch with them, and both of them are nice. We also I continued, and my sister listened, laughing at some parts until her phone dinged, pulling her attention away. She picked it up, her fingers typing with the speed of light to text the person while I trailed off, glaring at the damn phone. Still, I showed patience and waited, starting to talk again while she listened, humming absent-mindedly, biting her lip to suppress her smile and texting alongside. All right, she called for it. Yunji. Ow. Hey. What the hell, why? She hissed, rubbing her nose where the pillow had landed. What a good aim I had. One. One more text and I'm deleting that boyfriend of yours. I crossed my arms, looking at her blankly, and the dramatic grin of my sister gasped as I had kicked her puppy. Yunji, deleting the love of my life? What a cruel little sister you are. And what happened to Uppa? He is 10 years older than you. She squinted her eyes, shifting closer while I just rolled mine. Vine, so are you, 9 years older than me. Has that ever stopped me from bringing you back to your senses? What can I do? That guy has taken away my sister since the moment he stepped into her life. Pay attention to me when I'm talking, or just get out of my room. I believed I was glaring at her intensely, but her dramatic expressions just turned into teasing ones. That wasn't a good sign. Save me, Almighty. Yunji, fine. You have all of my attention. I'll tell him to text later, okay? She teased, shooting a quick text, and then shifted closer, pulling me toward her while I tried to wiggle away. A futile attempt. Wine. Ugh, gross. I groaned, but that didn't stop me from laying my head in her lap. Not my fault. It felt softer than my own pillow. Yunji, you act so indifferent. Let's see what happens when you fall in love. She smiled, and I gave her a disgusted expression, though it softened as she ran her fingers through my hair, just like she did when we were little. Wine. Ew. Never. Boys are gross. And stupid jerks. I hate them. I grumbled, burrowing myself deeper in her warmth. My sister was close to me in a way that my mother never had been. Wine. Unni. Hey, stop. I shrieked as she tickled my sides, knowing my weak spots very well, and I laughed hard, rolling over the sheets. The rest of the evening was spent messing around like that. Author's point of view. Yeji, which one are you choosing? The chestnut haired girl muttered, standing next to Ryan, munching on her apple as her friend was intensely focused on the chart displayed on the notice board before her. Ryan, I don't know, something in art though, she muttered, slumping her shoulders with a small sigh. Yeji just smiled, wrapping her free arm around her. In the few weeks she had known Ryan, she understood Ryan wasn't the talkative type. Though that never deterred Yeji from dragging her newly made friend everywhere, and Ryan just gladly gave in to her shenanigans, more like she didn't have any other choice. Not that she was complaining. Yeji, sign up for the dance club then. I'm in it already. You'll have fun. She spoke enthusiastically, giving her best puppy eyes to Ryan again. She has been trying it for the past few days since the club forms were posted for students. Ryan, no, Yeji, I already told you. I want something quieter. The school is already chaotic as it is. She shrugged, and Yeji sighed, dropping her arm and taking a bite of her apple, a defeated look on her face. Ryan, maybe I'll take up crafts. It's new. and we will be meeting more than often, so don't worry. Wine tried to pacify her, feeling a little bad, and it worked. More like Yeji was not a person to hold grudges anyway. Yeji, yeah, don't worry. I'm not upset. It sucks, but you're right. You need to explore too. So let's go. And Wine's smiley friend was back as they made their way to the area where the seniors were taking in the registrations. Wan, thank you, Sunbeam. Wan bowed lightly, and the girl, her senior, smiled kindly. Their forms were filled out, their names registered, and now they just had to meet the senior who would explain the details of the club to them. With a smile, Yeji waved at the senior sitting on the desk, who reciprocated her enthusiasm and dragged Wan off to the other room along with her classmates. They chatted along the way, excited and looking forward to the extracurriculars. Wine. Yeah, and Wine suddenly stopped, trailing off as they entered the classroom beside the lounge. The familiar feeling gripped her, raising goosebumps on the back of her neck. That stare, intense, unraveling, familiar. She felt his eyes even before she spotted him across the room, seated at the table, with his foot on the chair, with a smug smile on his lips, as his gaze bore into her. Yeji, what's wrong, Ryan? Yeji shook her by her shoulder, breaking eye contact, and Ryan suddenly felt breathless, like the past few days she has been feeling because of that one boy. Ryan, is there any chance to switch clubs? She muttered, her hardening stare fixed on the reason for her inner turmoil. Yeji frowned, confused, and followed her gaze, and sighed. John Jungkook. Of course, no one else pissed her off this way. He was the head of the dance section under the art club and was responsible for explaining everything to the students registered under the art club. Yeji, I'm afraid we can't. Don't let them bother you. Let's go. She stubbornly dragged Wine inside and occupied one of the seats far away in the corner, while Wine was just frustrated. Because of him, her life has become difficult since their encounter in the canteen that day. Wherever she went, she could feel eyes on her and whispers of how she was so rude to talk to the favorite popular senior like that. To dismiss him like that. If that wasn't enough, he continued to tease her too. She cursed the destiny that was responsible for them bumping so often into each other. He didn't speak to her directly but stared. Every time she walked into the room where he was, she could feel the heat of his gaze. And surprisingly, it didn't feel creepy to her. Because it wasn't. It was intense, yes, but not unsafe. He just stared long enough to acknowledge her, just long enough to let her feel the weight. Jungkook. Is everyone here? He clapped his hand once, jumping down from the desk, and the faint chatter in the room instantly silenced. His presence commanded attention without difficulty. The charming grace dripped from his smile as he glanced around the room, easing the tension of the nervous freshers. Jungkook. So, as you might know by now who I am. For those who don't, I'm John Jungkook, captain of the school's soccer team, head of the dance club, and your guide for today. I'll first walk you through the details of the art club, and you can follow up with any questions. Jungkook at your service, right here. He ended his little speech with a princely bow, eliciting laughter from his juniors and classmates. Wine watched it all, with a blank stare, wishing she were anywhere but here. For the next 20 minutes, Jungkook went on about explaining the activities they'll do, the fest they'll volunteer at, and the competitions they could participate in. He explained with ease, cracking jokes in between, parsing a charming smile or two. Wine. How many smiles does he have stored to give away so frequently? She muttered under her breath, making Yeji snicker beside her. Yeji. Why do you even hate him so much? Yeah, I know he's a flirt, but he's not really a bad guy, she whispered, leaning in close, and Ryan just gave her a side eye. She didn't get a chance to answer as Jungkook's voice pulled them back. Jungkook. So that's all for each section. You all will meet the other section heads as the club sessions start. And most of the time, you all will be collaborating. So don't hesitate to make friends. Any questions? He waited with a patient smile, and a few students raised their hands. He answered their questions one by one until the conversation steered in another direction. Will we be seeing you often? As you are the head, that's why. The girl twirled her hair with a sweet smile, and Vine coughed under her breath, seeing the way Jungkook smiled back. Jungkook, sure you will. Anything else? He glanced around, and a couple of similar questions were asked back to back. He answered it with ease, naturally basking in the attention, or so everyone saw. Juan's eyes flickered to the girl standing beside him, another senior, head of the music section. She was giving the girls a stink eye, trying to conceal her expression. Interesting. Yeji, usually I enjoy the drama, but now it is getting boring. As we get it, he is handsome. But can they hit on him later? I'm hungry, she grumbled, planting her face on the table. Juan looked at her with a raised brow. This was one of the very few times she had seen Yeji grumpy, and that too only about food. Looking back and forth a bit, she sighed and squared her shoulders for what she was about to do next. She raised her hand, and within a second, Jungkook's eyes flickered toward her. His lips tilted, and he nodded at her. Jungkook, yes? Fine. If you are done flirting back with everyone who is asking unrelated questions, can the session be concluded? Because this is chipping away at our lunch time, and my friend here is starting to get dizzy. The room fell into silence, and Yeji snapped her neck at Wine. Her jaw dropped. Wine had done it again, but this time she didn't regret it a bit. As the whispers filled the hall, she knew better than to care about it. Jungkook smiled, the amusement twinkling in his eyes. How come he wasn't annoyed? Never mind, Wine didn't care as she waited impatiently for the answer, while Yeji supported her statement, lying face down on the desk. Jungkook, alright, that's it for today. You will receive further updates on the group chat. Enjoy your lunch. He clasped his hand, leaning back against the desk. And the room slowly started emptying as people rushed out. Jungkook, hey, new girl. Yes, you. He called out as Wine just walked past him. His grin widened as he saw her tense shoulders before they relaxed again, and she turned around, fixing him with the familiar blank stare. Did she never smile? Jungkook, don't you think you should start respecting me more since I am your senior? He questioned, standing in front of her in two strides. Yeji and his few classmates observed the scene. As he expected, Vine rolled her eyes. She did that a lot, especially when he was near. He hadn't done anything to her, yet she seemed to dislike him a lot. He needed to find out why. She stepped closer, raising her chin in defiance. Vine, by a year. But if you insist, I can do as you say, adjust she, since you are my senior and all. A snicker from behind him made him turn his head and pin his classmate with a glare, who was having a hard time holding back. Jungkook, why so angry, sweetheart? You don't look like you want to be here, or is it because of me? Are you afraid you won't be able to concentrate because of my charming face? He rubbed his nose with his thumb, flashing her one of his smiles he often passed to others. Wyan scrunched her nose, nodding her head. Wyan, yes, your face is doing something to my brain. He raised his eyebrows in surprise, opened his mouth to speak, but she beat him to it. Wyan, it's giving me a headache, Sunbeam. She deliberately mocked, making him suck in a breath. A snort followed with muffled laughter, and Jungkook could just watch as Wyan turned around, walking away with her friend, while his classmates snickered behind him. Jungkook, she's going to be a tough nut to crack, he muttered under his breath. a bit surprised at the lack of frustration. If anything, she just intrigued him more. When, finally, some peace. Why in the world is everyone so chaotic? She muttered, shuffling through the bookshelves in the central library of the upper campus, which was shared by both students and teachers. Wine. Now, where is it? Not you two. My patience has been tested enough already. She scrunched her nose, annoyed, as she struggled to find the book of applied physics. The next moment, her scowling expression instantly changed into a small smile as she spotted the navy, worn out leather cover staring back at her. Munson's Fundamentals of Fluid Mechanics. She picked up the book and strolled forward in the aisle, picking out a few more books for her personal research as one for the assignment was done. Boundary Layer Theory by Hermann Schichtling, Viscous Fluid Flow by Frank M. White, and she collected those books like Pokemon, eyeing the final one with disdain because it rested on the top shelf where her hand couldn't reach. One stood on her tiptoes, straining her right arm, but her fingertips barely grazed the book with an olive leather jacket, while her left hand held a pile of books. Her breath hitched as she felt a chill crawling down her spine before she felt the heat brushing against her back. She craned her neck, watching a hand bigger than hers reach the book, picking it up with ease. Standing on her feet, she squared her shoulders before turning around to face the person. She regretted it the next second, as she found herself trapped against the bookshelves, and across from her stood the boy she disliked the most, who was eyeing the book in his hand. Jungkook, understanding aerodynamics arguing from the real physics by Doug McLean. Damn, didn't take you to be a nerd, new girl. He whistled lowly, handing her the book, which she took with a roll of her eyes. Without saying a word, she turned to get away, but he didn't let her. What now? Resting his arms on her either side, he bent his head to reach her eye level and feigned a wounded expression. Jungkook, no thank you? Is that how you respect someone's kindness? Why, do you really need me to inflate your already mountain high ego, Sunbeam? She raised her eyebrow and he smirked. The mocking Sunbeam always amused him. He didn't miss the sarcasm. She was the only girl who had ever talked with him in such a way. Jungkook, uh-huh. You really know how to keep a man humble. Always so serious. You'll get wrinkles, sweetheart. He added with a dry chuckle, raising his hand to tuck a loose strand of her hair behind her ear, which was right in front of her eyes. But she tilted her head back, squinting her eyes at him. Why, my wrinkles are none of your concern. Now, if you excuse me, I have work to do. Not everyone likes to bask in popularity, having nothing else to spend the time with. She retorted, her voice sharper than she intended it to be. His grin faltered a bit, a shadow passing in his eyes as he stepped back, creating distance between them. She didn't let herself dwell on it and walked away swiftly before she could regret her words. Jungkook stayed back, watching her figure disappear. He didn't know what it was about the girl that intrigued him so much. The way she challenged him, or the way she didn't seem to give two shits about him. John Jungkook never backed down from a challenge, and to see someone so unbothered by his charm did affect him a bit. He was going to climb past those eye rolls and sarcastic remarks. The urge to see what was beneath was insane, and perhaps that's why it made him insane too. Jungkook, what a feisty girl, he muttered, shaking his head, but his lips were curved into a small, amusing smile. He was never the one to judge anyone based on their outer behavior, so her sarcasm never affected him. Hours turned into days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The first semester had already passed, and students were eagerly waiting for the summer break to start after the exams. This season, it wasn't only the color of leaves and the humidity of the wind that changed. Haneul High School had become the source of entertainment for the students instead of a torturous learning place for most. Jungkook and Lim Wyan. Their bickering had escalated into daily banter, which none wanted to miss. Cafeteria, clubs, corridors, hallways, grounds, they bumped into each other more often, and Wyan hated every second. She had her own judgments of him and didn't want to spend another moment with him, whereas he, curious as a cat, didn't leave her alone. He was hell bent on discovering why she disliked him so much. He teased, past flirty smiles and cheesy pickup lines, relishing in her side eyes, eye rolls, and glares and sarcastic remarks. If she was stubborn, he was even more stubborn than her, and if that was nothing short of entertainment for their friends.